looking for at our last guest for the night, and her name is it Kyina Routt? Is that how it's pronounced?
It's but everyone just call me Kay.
But
Kay.
how do you
But how
say
do
your
you
name? I don't
pronounce
we don't want to say
it? How do you pronounce
Kiana.
no.
it? Kiana?
Kiana. Kiana Routt.
Kiana.
Kiana.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what I kind of thought, but Kiana. All right. Welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And
Thank you for
Kiana
being
writes
here.
Christian fiction, and she's got a juicy book called the First Lady Games.
Yes.
I love your
And
titles, Boss Lady Devotional and First Lady Games.
Yes. 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 Um, those titles, I don't know, they just come to me. Titles come to me and I just start writing about it. Sometimes someone will call me up and say, "Hey, can you write this? Can you write about this?" And then I'm like, what would be a good name
oh,
at the end? And sometimes I write it at the beginning. It just all depends.
and then you have the
Gotcha.
church ladies in your backdrop.
Yes. They are a focal
The-
point of my book.
okay, are they the missionaries, the deaconess? You know, it's they have different titles.
The church mothers, church
Yeah.
aunties, yes, all of them.
Now you say you grew up in a small town Baptist church. Now, where did you grow up? You,
Two two
you
sides. I was in Houston first. I grew up
okay.
at a little church, little small church, Holy House of the Lord Missionary Baptist Church. And then we moved to East Texas to a little church in I'm saying Long Branch. It was in Long Branch, Texas. Maybe have a population of like 131 people.
Oh,
So it's really
Oh, y'all all
small
knew each other.
wow.
or related, some kind of way.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And my grandfather was actually a pastor at the time. So,
Okay.
yes, and I played the piano.
Okay, so you saw
Not by choice.
okay, all the kind of stereotypes of people who had pastors in their family, either
Mhm.
fathers or grandfathers. Now, I'm a PK, as the audience knows, but I didn't play the piano. I took piano lessons, but I didn't have consistent training, so I never did really catch on. But I did sing in the choir and led songs and did that kind of thing. So, um, and it was a Baptist church. My father was a Baptist preacher, so really back in the day, there weren't that many different denominations that were active. It was the Baptist. Then you had the Church of God in Christ, like the Kojic, and then you had the AMEs, um, African Methodist Episcopal churches, and that was about it where I lived.
I think Houston had a more variety, but in Long Branch, it was primarily Baptist.
Yeah,
So,
and we didn't have too many Black Catholics where I was, but Rhonda's from New Orleans, and Catholicism is very prominent there. But growing up, the only family I knew that was Catholic had 16 children, but so that's kind of a stereotype, I guess. Their last name was Davis, and they were stair steps. It was one every year in school. Like the school, there was one in every grade, and that was the only
that
Catholic
was like
family
that.
that I knew. so, so anyway, tell us about First Lady Games and that's your newest book. What's the plot? What's going on in there?
A Christian romance.
Okay.
It's centered around a young lady. Her name is Valerie Bennett, who comes home after dealing with, heartbreak in the big city. So she comes home to where it all started, the judgmental eye. She feels she's not welcome there. She's being judged. Everyone has a plan for her life. And she just feels like God is not part of that plan. Y'all are planning for me, but where is God in the picture? And I felt like that was it kind of sit you know, with a lot of us that grew up in the Baptist church, you get the church mothers and the aunties that know more about your life than what God knows. So I wanted to
Mhm.
kind of bring that to the forefront. Well, she meets a gentleman who, most of everyone read is the pastor, and they start this, kind of love-hate relationship type, and it blossoms into something more than what they anticipated that it was going to be.
Now, is the pastor single? Okay,
Yes.
your voice is I'm trying to see if she's trying to get with the pastor. Is it after is it after church hours or is it what is that's what I'm trying
It's
to
not really her trying to get with the pastor. It's more about the pastor trying to get with her.
her. Well,
Mm-hmm.
either way,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
because
Yes.
a lot that is a common theme, and a lot of people in church settings, single uh, women, think that being a first lady is uh,
Glamour.
glamorous,
Hmm.
glamorous,
You know,
and it's not necessarily glamorous. I'll say that.
um, I get the question asked a lot. People say, "Is this book about you and your husband?" I say, "Do it look like I fit that mold to be a first lady?" I always joke with one of my friends. I was like, "Mm-mm." I say, if God calls my husband to preach, I'm just gonna tell him he called you. He didn't call me. I don't want that title. But it's just in joking. But I know that I will stand by him. But that's not my life right now. That's not the role that God has for me. So I'm just going to, if it lead that way, then I'll wear that crown with, honor. But it's not something that I'm striving for. And so
Yeah, well, when you grow up in an environment, I know my dad was a pastor, so my whole life. So my dad was actually called to preach the year I was born. So I grew up in it my whole life. And the one thing I did not want to do was date a preacher. And I told my husband when we got married, if you got caught, I wouldn't divorce you, but I that's not the life I want to live. I lived that life already, being
yeah,
under a microscope and everybody in your business. You can't make a mistake. It was it's a lot of pressure. People don't realize how much pressure is involved in that role, and it's a role of service too, because my dad worked 7 days a week. He was always had to be available for problems with church. Well, and the church had a lot of activities. The church was open 7 days a week with something going on, and so you know that's it's not for everyone. It's not, if people are
it's
thinking
not.
it's
Right.
glamorous, it's a life of service, and they need to approach it like that. So the two people on your cover are they models? Where did you get? How did you select those two individuals?
Those are actually graphics that I developed myself. I dabble into, the graphic design here and there, and um, I learned how to make some images with Chat GPT. And so
Nothing
I
wrong with
was,
that.
yeah, so I was thinking, I was like, what do Val look like to me? What does the church mothers look like to me? And so I went back into my book. I was rereading it. I was thinking about their personalities and who they are. Then I started thinking about some of the encounters that I've had in church and how they looked and things like that. I just put it all together and I came up with the characters. My sister swore up and down that I was describing her when I was making this character. I'm like, no, I was not. But then my husband and my son was like, yeah, she kind of looked like Amy. I'm like, all right, well, maybe unconsciously I did it. So yes,
Now, are these two the two books that you have available?
yes.
So, do
So
you
the
have
two books.
other books, or this is where you're starting your launch?
This is where I'm starting. The First Lady Games is my very first one. They are available on my website and on Amazon. They also available on print through like Barnes and Noble. So you can get it through print there. The Boss Lady devotional is out. It's on Kindle as well. You can buy a print copy on my website, and soon Amazon is coming. So I'm very, very excited about them. This just the start of I don't want to call it a series. I want to call it a movement.
Okay. And
Okay, a movement.
what is the Boss Lady devotional about?
So the Boss Lady is devotional is not your typical like prayer journal. This is more centered around us women, us boss ladies. It's not going to be the "thou shall not" and the the you open up prayer. It's more relatable.
Okay.
It's more relatable, and I
Is
like to
it
put.
is it more focused on busy ladies? Is it focused on business ladies? 'Cause when I hear boss lady, I usually think of women with their own businesses who are running their communities, or they lead in their homes, or something
Mhm.
to that effect. So is that what this is more focused toward?
So it's going to be catered for all of the women. I say women that are in business, women that are working 9 to 5 hard every day, standing in that boardroom, women that are running their household, chasing after kids. We all bosses. And so this book is going to be catered to every woman, not just those that have their own businesses, but it's
Okay,
to encourage and inspire everybody.
I like
Okay.
it. So I want to go back to this movement now. So when you say that this is going to be a movement and not just a series, what do you mean by that?
Writing these books, yes, it is non-fictional. It is a Christian book, but I wanted to serve a purpose. I wanted it to show that, hey, you can be a Christian and still have flaws. You can be a Christian and still be sad. You can also be a Christian and can stand on your own, and you can command a boardroom.
Mm-hmm.
Find as someone that's meek and mild all the time, because I'm not, and I love Jesus. So that's why I say this is a movement, because it's going to pull back the layers of things that sometimes we feel but are afraid to address, but
Yeah.
in a humorous and comical way. So
It kind of reminds me of Victoria Christopher Murray's early books,
mhm,
because she basically started the Christian fiction movement, and she wanted, just like you said, she wanted people to see that Christians don't have to be staunch and stiff. They go through things. We go through things just like anybody else does.
yes, yes, and that's my purpose. I have a list of books, and they actually finished. I'm going back through, like, redoing them, and I'm gonna release them in phases. But it's each book is gonna talk about some type of trial. Like my next book is touch on forgiveness.
Hmm.
How it's not only for the other person, but for you. Like, we hear these things in church, and we hear them when we listen to evangelists and ministers and podcasts. But how do we relate that to our life? And so when things are, I'm a trainer by nature. So when it's relatable, it's more easier to digest.
Right.
And so that's why I am putting it in books. And plus, I have a very, vivid imagination.
Well, I like your covers. They
Thank
they
you.
look very clean, not too busy,
Yes.
and
And they're
colorful.
eye-catching
Yeah, and you can see the title from a distance.
a
Uh,
mile away.
so some books, um, they have a font. I know they're trying to stylize, but they use fonts that you can't read, like at a distance. So especially like the cursive fonts and those kind of fonts like that, they're not easy to read at a distance. And all kinds of little nuances matter when it comes to book covers.
Hmm. It does. I did a lot of research before I start creating covers and things like that. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted, and I knew, coming from background in graphic design and things like that, that certain fonts stand out and you want to always, kind of cater to your audience.
Yeah. Mhm.
Had to put myself, if I was reading this, how would I take it away? How would it look to me? If I walk into a bookstore and I see this on the shelf, will I pick it up?
Yeah, and that's important.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because people are attracted to an attractive cover. That's what's going to get you to the book. And
right.
then they'll turn the book over to read the synopsis. But if you have a great story and a boring cover, they won't even come anywhere near your book. So I
Yes.
get it.
Yes.
Mm.
So,
So, what is your plan going forward? Like, do you have a plan for the next year or two in terms of books you want to release? Are you going to do more devotionals? Are you going to stick with the fiction side? What do you plan to do?
so I'm gonna stick with the fictional for right now. The devotional that I just did is 365 days. So I think that'll get us all the way to the end of the year.
To get us through the year,
Uh,
at least. Mhm.
yes, I am gonna drop another book in September right before the Black National Book Festival because I will be there. Thank you, Miss Gwen.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I meant to mention that you're actually one of the participating authors at the festival, and
Yeah,
we've already posted your meet me at the festival
I
flyer.
saw it. I was like, oh, I'm so professional now. I don't know, but
You're a celebrity now.
right.
Now
Yes.
you're in Conroe, correct?
I'm in McConroe by the way of Houston.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I remember passing when I used to drive back and forth. I used to live in Texas at one time. And
Mhm.
I would drive back and forth from Texas to Louisiana. I'd always see, I think we would pass by Conroe.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
north
Mhm.
of Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So you know where we went to lunch that time, Rhonda?
Yeah.
It's north of there.
Okay.
I'm in Northwest Houston, and
Oh,
Conroe is north of Northwest Houston. It's more like
Gotcha.
on the way to Dallas, isn't it? Is it
mhm.
off? It's off of 45.
45.
Say 45.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
if you're going
Yeah.
to Dallas from Houston going north, you'll pass Conroe.
Well, yeah, I was stationed in Killeen at the time. So
Okay.
yeah, that's why I said I would pass Conroe on the way there.
Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
out here. I like to say I'm out here in the boonies, but I love it. It's so peaceful.
Girl, I live in the boonies now. I'm in Maryland. I'm surrounded by trees.
And she's in a town that nobody even knows the name of it.
Yeah, nobody's heard of my town. And you know what though? I wanted to stay that way. Don't move over here,
Yeah,
y'all.
I
Don't
agree.
move over here.
And I want people to stop moving to Houston. We're
Oh,
full.
that's not
We
gonna
can't
happen.
take anymore.
Right.
we got
I've
we
been
have
in Maryland, but it was to Baltimore.
No,
Oh,
that's different.
okay.
hmm
Yeah, Baltimore. Yeah, that's the whole different thing. Uh it's not far.
No, well, I live closer to DC. It would take me, depending on traffic, maybe about an hour to an hour and a half to get to Baltimore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
You don't know where Gwen, come visit me so you can see where I live.
Okay. Well, I've been to DC many, many times and flown into BWI a lot of times because it's cheaper
Yeah.
a lot of times to fly into Baltimore and then just get a train into
Yeah, I
DC.
live closer to Reagan.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, but anyway, so Ken, you have another book coming out. Now, the book you have coming out in September, is it a sequel or a standalone to the First
It's a
Lady?
sequel.
It's part of the movement.
Oh,
Yes, it's part of the movie. Yes. It is called The Deacon and His Bride.
okay. All right.
Now,
Now, so we get into the deacons now.
yeah, we
So
getting into it.
are you
Yeah.
gonna go through the elders and the trustees?
You know what? Someone asked me, could I write a story about the church aunties in their past? And I was like, oh, y'all trying to really stir up some stuff, but
Well, yeah, because the church aunties weren't always the good, upstanding citizens
that
that we see
part,
today.
that part, yes. And so I'm
There might be a chance.
Thinking. Mm-hmm.
Because they got to be the church aunties by going through some stuff when they were young and out in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
they decided that wasn't for them. But they had
Yeah.
a interesting, very colorful past.
But they act like they don't have a blemish. That part.
Sometimes, sometimes,
It's funny
sometimes.
because my husband, he called me from work. He was like, "Babe, have you started writing your other book yet?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Can you write one on a cruise ship? The church go on a cruise?" I'm like, "Really? Is this what you want me to do?" So what am I for your amusement? But I said, "All right, I'll put it in
Oh,
rotation."
Well,
okay.
hopefully they won't get in a fight when they get off the cruise ship, like sometimes we see it
I
on
know.
YouTube. People get
We gonna
off
see.
and they
I see what
start
I come up
brawling.
with.
And my thing is, you should have got some rest and chilled on the cruise. You get off the ship and
Yes.
fighting about something. I don't get it. I love cruises and I've never seen anything like that, but it's your first time for everything.
Yes.
So let the audience know where they can get your books. Well, you have it on the screen, but can they get an autographed copy on your website? Is that possible? Is that something that can happen?
I have not put the autograph copies on the website, but that's something that I need to do. I'll make sure I do it tomorrow. But they can also write me directly and I can John Hancock it and put it in the mail for them. And they can
Okay.
also visit us at the National Book Festival and get an autograph copy as well.
Oh, okay. And it's coming up pretty quick.
Well, I'm gonna
We're
see you at the festival.
yeah, we're already in June and halfway
This
through
year
June.
is going by so
It's too
It
fast.
fast.
is.
It's like
It
slow
is.
down, you know,
Right.
because I when my daughter got engaged over the holidays and the wedding was June 14th, and it seemed like it was a while, and now
I
it's over.
know. I didn't realize that the time had come until I know you kept saying my daughter's wedding is coming up, but then all of a sudden I'm looking at the pictures like, wait a minute.
It happened Saturday. So it's just the half the year is over. Oh, and next week, just for the audience sake, next week is our birthday show where Rhonda and I will be wearing our birthday crowns because our birthdays are 8 days apart or 9 days apart. My birthday's this Friday.
And my
And
birthday is June 29th.
right. So we celebrate our birthdays on one show that's in between our birthdays, and it will be next Tuesday. So, Kiana, did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, you did.
Thank you for being a guest on the show, and we look forward to seeing you in October with your new
Yes.
book, whatever the new book is going. The Deacon and His Bride. Is that gonna? That's gonna be.
Yes, ma'am.
That's gonna be hot. So
It
Yes.
is.
people might, here's a tip, sell them as a set for a discount. Like
Yes.
it's better to get like a two for, not two for one, but I don't know what your pricing is, but this is a tip for all vendors. You need to have some special pricing on your books at the festival.
Mhm.
People are looking for deals. You still need to make money on your books, but they're looking for deals. So if they buy more than one, that's where you give them a deal for anything over one. So anyway, we're at the end of our time. Thank you so much for being a guest, and we'll see you in October.
Have a
Oh,
great night. It was great to meet you,
You too.
Kiana.
Kiana, you got
all right.
Yes.
Good night.
it.
Bye.